Asante. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I trust you guys are doing well. I trust you guys had a very good Valentine's season. My name is Kyle, and I had the privilege and the honor of being with us today to share on the theme of God's love, right? Um, yesterday, yesterday, a lot of people had the privilege of celebrating Valentine's. Watu pale kwa status, they were sharing, wanatuonyesha flowers, wanatuonyesha chocolates. Kuna wengine walikuwa kama ambulance. Wow, wanashare tu wakiwa wow all through. But one thing that we need to understand, when we allow me to take you to the book of Genesis 1, 26, 27, and 28. It talks about God and man. And when God created man, first of all, he gave them the authority, or rather the dominion, to cultivate the land, to name the animals, and to do everything of the sort. But again, when you continue the book of Genesis, we come to the Genesis chapter 3. Now, in Genesis chapter 3, what now happens? Eve and Adam, they were given an instruction, and they were told, you can eat from every other fruit in this garden, but the tree of life and the tree of knowledge, you are not supposed to eat from it. But now the serpent came and lied to Eve and told her, by the way, what God is telling you is false. If you try and eat from that fruit, you'll be able to have life, you'll be able to have knowledge. Now, chapter 3 describes the fall of man. That was not the intention of God over humanity. The intention of God over humanity, one, was have a personal relationship with him. Number two was God, or rather man, to have dominion over the face of the earth. But because now of the fall of man, the personal relationship with God was kind of distracted. And that is why Adam and Eve had to be chased out of the Garden of Eden. But what we see, even immediately after they sinned, their eyes were opened. After their eyes were opened, they came to realize, by the way, we are naked. All that while, wameishi na Adam, wameishi na Eve, hawajaijua wako uchi. But the day they decided to eat the fruit, that is why they came to realize, by the way, we are naked. Now, I'm driving somewhere. After they realized they were naked, what does God do? He clothes them. This tells us about the redemption, or rather the redemptive work of God. In as much as man had fallen down, God is still in the business of redeeming man to himself. God is still in the business of having man have a relationship, a personal relationship with him. And that's what brings us to the love of God. Ladies and gentlemen, the love of God is what we call the agape love. The agape love is what we refer to as love that is unconditional. Now, allow me brush through the two characteristics of God's love, and then we'll be out of here. One, we see it evidently. You know, the Bible says in John chapter 3, verse 16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but shall have everlasting life. First of all, the love of God is sacrificial. It is very hard to sacrifice your own son or daughter. It is very, very hard. This morning I was talking with students at St. Paul's, and we talked about sacrificial. Atile kakota ya mkate. It is very hard for them to give it out. How about God, who gave his only begotten Son to die on the cross for the liberation of man? And if God is able to sacrifice his only Son so that he can accommodate man once again, so that man can be brought back to the reality of the cross, What about us as individuals? What is this that we can sacrifice in order to accommodate God's love? Ladies and gentlemen, God's arms are always open, always open. But there is this one thing that is making, or rather that is coming in between us and the love of God. We are trying, God is trying as much as possible to draw near to you. But the more he draws near to you, the farther you go away from him. So, what is this one thing that we can sacrifice to accommodate God's love? It's not necessarily about money. What is this one thorn in your flesh that is inhibiting you from accessing God's love? Could it be an addiction that you've been struggling with it for a very long time? Could it be the bad company that you walk with? Could it be that relationship that you are having? So please go and scrutinize, because we have understood that God's love is sacrificial. What about us as human beings? God has sacrificed his only son so that we can be redeemed back to him. But what about us? What are we doing so that we can be redeemed back to Christ? Lastly, when you go to the book of Matthew chapter 5, I think verse 29 or 30 there, it says, if it is your eye that is causing you to sin, then gouge it out, remove it. If it is your hand that is making you to sin, then cut it and remove it. But unfortunately, that cannot happen in our current society. So what should we do? What symbolizes that eye that is causing you to sin? What symbolizes that hand that causes you to sin? Sacrificial. Lastly, we are talking about the aspect of the love of God is unconditional. It is unconditional. It is not pegged on anything. This is to say, unfortunately, the only person, or rather the people who will love you for who you are, mostly will be your mother and God. These are some of the people that will love you for who you are. Whether you are tall, whether you are short, whether you are dark, whether you are light, whether you have a deformity or not, those are the people who will love you for who you are. And still, unfortunately, even those parents that we constantly believe in, some of them will only love us when we are bringing shopping at the end of the month. Wewe usipotuma shopping, utaipata message, utaijuliwa hali. So this is to say, the agape love of God is universal. It is unconditional. It does not look at anything. It does not need anything. You just have to be your real self. You just have to be your real self. So this will be my encouragement to all of you who are watching us today. God's arms are constantly opening. The Bible says, draw near to me and I will draw near to you. That is God saying, come and I will embrace you. Come and I will embrace you. The way you are, come and I will embrace you. The way you are, come and I will embrace you. With that luggage, come. The Bible says that, come and I will make your burdens easier. I'll make your yokes easier. So that is what God is calling us to. He's calling us to come and embrace his love. He's calling us to stop any other thing that is preventing us from accommodating his love. Anything that is preventing us from accommodating his love, then God is saying, please remove it. And by his grace, he's able to help us. He's able to facilitate that with us. And to finish up, you don't have to do a lot of magic to get God's love. All you need to do is to come as you are. Come as you are, the way you are. You don't have to feel very guilty, because I know the enemy will constantly condemn you. But God is saying, come as you are, and you're going to experience the love of God. Thank you so very much. I will stop from that.